Welcome everyone to the second edition of Network 18's largest initiative, Netra Suraksha, India Against Diabetes, in association with Novartis. We are sitting in Run of Kutch, and we're sitting at none other place than the BSF War Memorial in the Run of Kutch. It's a beautiful location, of course, Run of Kutch being world famous, but this memorial which is right behind me is an absolutely poignant tribute to the martyrs of the country, the martyrs of the 1971 war. But remember, the Run of Kutch is also extremely significant when it comes to India's borders, because this place is where the genesis of India's border security force took place, way back in 1965. In the run-up to the 1965 war with Pakistan, it is here in Run of Kutch that one of Pakistan's misadventures were rebutted by the Indian forces. And that's when India felt that it needed a specialized defense force, security force for the borders, and thus was birthed the Border Security Force. So I want to begin first up by paying our homage to India's martyrs and the Jawans who protect India's borders, which is the Jawans of the Border Security Force. In fact, many of them are joining us in our audience today. I want a big round of applause for the Jawans who are here. I want to begin with our chief guest today, Shrimati Dr. Neemaben Acharya, the first woman speaker of the Gujarat Legislative Assembly. You're a doctor yourself, so there couldn't have been a better chief guest for our initiative. I also want to welcome Mr. Sanjay Srivastav, who's the DIG BSF of the Kutch sector. A big round of applause for our guests. Thank you so much, sir, for hosting us here. And once again, my congratulations to you, my salute to you and your forces for the job that they're doing. I also want to welcome Ms. Vaishali Iyer, Country Head Communications, Patient Engagement and CSR at Novartis India. Vaishali, thanks a lot for being with us. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. And last but not the least, on the far side from me, Dr. Manisha Agarwal, Head of Vitro Retina and Clinical Research Services, New Delhi, and Secretary of the VRSI, which is the Vitro Retina Research Society of India. So first up, we're going to go across to our guest and discuss a few things as far as diabetic retinopathy is concerned. I want to kickstart with you. Ma'am, you're from the medical profession. What do you make of this initiative? Because the awareness that is often needed takes time. Do you believe that an initiative like this can do the job when it comes to the awareness, first and foremost?
First of all, I welcome Netra Suraksha campaign whole team. So, Netra Suraksha is very, very important. And when new Network 18 has started this campaign from the border, so I really congratulate you. And I wish best wishes, my heartiest best wishes, that it is started from BSF camp, because eyes are very important. So Netra Suraksha is very important for BSF and all. And when you say that it is a diabetic retinopathy, diabetes is such a disease. It is a hidden enemy. You never know that you are diabetic. But when you get regular checkup, then and then only you diagnose the diabetes. And because of diabetes, so many adverse effects on the body, especially kidney and heart and everything. But the effect on the eyes, diabetic retinopathy leads to blindness. And you know, the eyes are very important for the world which we see. And for BSF, it is very, very important. We always say keep eye on everywhere. So you are keeping eye on the border. So this Netra Suraksha camp, we are starting from this border area, Dharamshala. So I really congratulate you, all people, and I wish my heartiest best wishes to all of you.
We've mentioned how for the defense forces, fitness is obviously of utmost importance, but vision, like anybody else, is of supreme importance, especially for a force like yourself, isn't it? Your eyes, your watchful eyes are everything. So what do you make of the significance of this message, especially for the armed forces, for your Jawans?
Particularly serving at this place, which are very adverse for the survival. And we work on the scorching sunlight and very tough terrain. Eyes are frequently affected, and as ma'am has told us, that diabetes leads to blindness. So please take care of your eyes, and particularly of the diabetics. It is a silent killer because it affects your vital organ like kidney, as ma'am told us, and particularly retinas and retinopathies are even doctors are also prescribing about the test you should undergo. So it is a good opportunity to convey my fellow citizens to protect your eyes.
I want to go across to Vaishali also. Vaishali, sure. Just give me a sense of why this message, the message that both of them are giving, the message that we are talking about, is so important to Novartis. Why this message and why now?
So let me just step back and talk a little bit about Novartis's purpose. You know, our purpose is to extend and improve people's life by reimagining medicines. But we know that medicines only does one part of the job. It's very important that every citizen in the country really is aware of what real good health means. And when we really talk of diabetes, everybody, if you really go out, you know, if you go 15 years back, nobody knew diabetes. Today, every household has one diabetic. But eyes and diabetes is not well known. And that is something which is very, very important for us as a nation to protect our eyesight. And when Netra Suraksha and rather Network 18 group was doing this, we thought it is no better opportunity than this to really partner with you guys to take this message of awareness forward and educate every Indian about the importance of eyes, importance of managing diabetes, and most importantly, protecting your eyes from diabetic retinopathy.
Dr. Manisha, what is the prevalence, first of all, of diabetic retinopathy amongst patients of diabetes?
Now, India itself is a huge country. We have a very high population, so the number of diabetics is also very high. Now, the problem which we face as doctors and as retina specialists and as eye specialists is that till the time the diabetic patient is referred for an eye checkup, it is too late. Or by the time the patient themselves start having some symptoms of diabetic retinopathy or start losing vision, it is too late. And we feel extremely guilty, we feel extremely bad that we are not able to extend that kind of help which we could have if the patient would have arrived in our clinic a little earlier. So as you ask, if I see about 100 patients in my clinic, I think in today's time about 70 patients would be diabetics. And that's a very high incidence.
And all of them are at risk for diabetic retinopathy.
So any patient who's having diabetes is at risk of developing diabetic retinopathy. The problem is that diabetes itself is a silent disease, so you don't come to know that for how many years you've been having diabetes. Diabetic retinopathy in the initial stages is again a silent disease, so you don't come to know till you start losing vision. And that's where the major problem is. So what we are really wanting and requesting is that every patient who is a diabetic or every citizen of India who is a diabetic needs to come for a retina checkup or an eye checkup even without having any symptoms. So I think out of all the organs, eye is the most important. Yeah. You have to keep an eye on your time, you have to keep an eye on your borders, you have to keep an eye on your enemy, and the same way you have to keep an eye on the eye itself.
Now is the part that I wanted to have our viewers and our audiences take a look at, because this is the one that is the practical side of the awareness campaign that we're doing with Novartis, which is the actual eye test setup. So I want to request on the other side of our setup here at the BSF War Memorial in the beautiful run of Kutch near Bhuj, we've got our fantastic machine which is going to do these tests across the country. So we're going to take these machines to the length and breadth of the country, especially to our Jawans and their families. So I just want to quickly request the flag off for this eye testing. Shri Sanjay Avinash, Commandant, 74 Battalion, BSF. Sir, if I can request you to please inaugurate our eye testing machine by cutting the ribbon. Our eye testing machines are now formally inaugurated, and we're going to conduct a couple of tests as well. Dr. Neema Bent, how do you feel that people can be motivated to take more care of their eyes?
Our Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji, has put so many health schemes,
Yes.
different. But he has also put new scheme, that is Niramaya Health Scheme. And Niramaya Health Scheme, every Friday, government is organizing campaign for routine checkup. They get cholesterol, blood pressure, diabetes, eye checkup, all checkup. And then we diagnose that the patient is suffering from. First time the person knows that he is suffering from some disease. So like that, diabetes is a curable, not completely curable.
Right.
It requires long-term treatment. It is a chronic disease, but timely taken the treatment will prevent the complication of diabetes.
Yes,
And
yes.
most important complication, the camp is organized, Netra Suraksha, for diabetic retinopathy and eye checkup. Especially women.
Yes.
Being a woman, I give my message because woman is doing selfless service to society. They neglect their health, we always say. Priority, her health is not priority for all. So I say all the women, they should get regular checkup of their health and they should take care of health because they are taking care of whole society. So first, most important, they should take their care of health. Everybody can get eye checkup in that Friday camp, Niramaya Health Scheme.
Wonderful. So we have our commitment from the Speaker of the Gujarat Assembly. A big round of applause for that message from Dr. Neema Bent. And Sanjay sir, I'm coming to you. This time around, we want to take the message to your Jawans because they keep an eye on the enemy. They keep an eye on our borders. And it's important as for you, as the DIG, for us, and for the larger community to keep an eye on their eye and their vision. How important do you think this message can be for your Jawans?
Particularly in our condition, when our Jawans are far away from their household, from their native place, they are not with their family, and all course of life, particularly all responsibility are being discharged by our family lady wife. So for them also, if I want to give them message, please take care of your eyes and go for the preventive test also. You should not only aware yourself also, but your child also. At this stage, I want to convey to the News 18 also, please make aware also people about the glaucoma also. Glaucoma is also very dangerous, and it is also slowly takes the eyesight and vision loss to the patients.
Dr. Manisha, patient willingness is one of the reasons why this is a big challenge, isn't it? Because we were mentioning, by the patients don't really feel anything as far as their retina is concerned. By the time they begin to feel that the vision is not all right, it is already too late. Am I right?
Initially, when the early stages are there of diabetic retinopathy, it is totally asymptomatic. It may be presenting with as simple as a change of glass. And that is why people feel that they just walk into an optical shop and they get a new pair of glasses and they're done with. But what is important in detecting diabetic retinopathy at an early stage is that these changes are irreversible. So if you are able to control them at an early stage, you absolutely can avoid a very severe loss of vision secondary to diabetic retinopathy. And therefore, it is very important that each and every diabetic understands this and reaches on time for the evaluation of their retina.
So could you give me a sense, let's say a 50-year-old comes to you, how often would you recommend this test for them?
So I would just like to make a few corrections in that. One is the time of doing your first examination of the retina. I think it's very important that the day you realize that you are a diabetic, please get your retina checked. So you may be having diabetic retinopathy which you have not realized. So please get your retina checked, your eyes checked after adequate dilatation for diabetic retinopathy the day you are diagnosed with diabetes.
Like I was mentioning, and like I can understand, a lot of people don't go for this test because it's a preventive test. It's a test to figure out if everything is okay. People don't like to get those tests done. किसी को भी अच्छा नहीं लगता कि सिर्फ ये पता करने के लिए कि मेरे में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, उसके लिए मैं हॉस्पिटल जाऊँ और टेस्ट कराऊँ. जब तक कुछ दिक्कत नहीं होती, लोग हॉस्पिटल जाते रहे. ये ह्यूमन नेचर है. तो patient willingness is an issue. Cost also an issue. Is that also a hesitation? Do insurance, health insurance, medical insurance cover such tests?
On behalf of Vitreoretina Society of India, we have really been working hard with all the insurance companies because they have been avoiding giving a insurance coverage based on that it is a chronic disease, it is age related, but that's not the case today. And majority, I would say at least 95% of the insurance companies, they are now giving a coverage, and it is very much there mentioned in their recently published guidelines that they cannot deny an insurance coverage for diabetes or diabetic retinopathy. So I really don't think if you have a medical insurance, the cost is going to be an issue.
I welcome everyone to Network 18's initiative, Netra Suraksha, India Against Diabetes. Once again, thanks a lot for joining us for the second edition, which is going to be bigger and grander. This is our largest initiative to protect India's vision, to protect the vision of Indians from diabetic retinopathy, which, quite like diabetes, which everyone knows about, can also be a silent disease. So just like diabetes is called a silent killer, its associated disease, which affects the eyes, the vision, the retina, diabetic retinopathy, can also be a silent disease. It can creep up on you before you realize, before you have any symptoms, you will feel everything is fine, but it isn't. And by the time you have symptoms, it could be too late already. That is why prevention is truly the cure as far as diabetic retinopathy is concerned. And with Netra Suraksha, the second edition, we're bringing you that message. This season, we're going to take our preventive tests all across the country, the length and breadth of the country. And the special message this time is for the Jawans and their families. In fact, we're joining you today from the BSF War Memorial, just a few kilometers away from the India-Pakistan international border at the beautiful Run of Kutch. As part of the second edition of Netra Suraksha, India Against Diabetes in association with Novartis, this time around we're going to actually make it easier for you to get that test, which could prevent blindness if you are a patient of diabetes. Those eye tests are currently taking place where we are joining you from this very special location, the BSF War Memorial at the Run of Kutch. And those eye tests are going to be conducted across the length and breadth of the country, especially for our Jawans and their families. But of course, with that, we want to give you a message that if you are a patient of diabetes, as our doctors are saying, when you realize that you have diabetes, you have to go and get that test done. And those tests are happening thanks to Radical Health. I have Rito Maitra, co-founder of Radical Health, joining us. Thank you so much, Rito. Just give me a sense, what does that machine exactly do? Don't be too technical, but what does that machine exactly do? How much is it able to tell you about a person's retina health? And how old is this technology? When did this first come about?
The machine that you're seeing on the screen right now is called a fundus camera that takes an image of the retina. So that you can imagine is analogous to taking an X-ray of your chest. Now, just because you take the image doesn't mean you have the answers. You need a retina specialist like Dr. Agarwal to be able to read the X-ray, or in this case, read the retinal image and tell you what's wrong with it. What Radical Health builds and what we aim to propagate is the ability to read that image using artificial intelligence, so that you can, so that every single image that is read is produces a result right then and there, without having the need to have a retina specialist at every corner of the country.
Vaishali, I want to come to you now. From Novartis, this has been very close to you and to Novartis. But I think it's important when I hear everybody, it makes you realize that you need a lot of hands on board, isn't it?
First part is I would like to laud the efforts of the government and the state government of Gujarat, basically to prioritize health and thereby even screening of the eye. So I think that's very, very important. So thank you so much for that. So that's my first point. The second piece is, if I to just step back and talk a little bit about Novartis. So Novartis is a 250-year-old company. We have a very strong cardiovascular, renal, metabolic, and ophthalmology portfolio. Coming to India, we are there in India since its independence, which is 1947. So very, very long time. And we've been partnering with the healthcare system in India to improve the nation's health. It's not only innovations that we bring to fore, but also other aspects like screening, diagnosis, awareness. These are factors which are going to really improve the nation's health. And therefore, we need to partner with multiple stakeholders. So if you really look at starting with the government, of course, the second piece is talking with medical bodies like VRSI and RSSDI, who would actually eventually treat the patients. We also need media houses like Network 18, who would actually take the message of awareness around diabetes and our health to the larger population. And I would fail in my duty if I really don't thank the BSF, who've taken this as a mantle to really make the country Netra Suraksha. But we all will fail, if each and every individual or citizen of the country doesn't really take this up upon themselves to really go and get their eyes tested, first for diabetes and then for diabetic retinopathy.
And on that note, it is time for me, Shivani Gupta, to take your leave one more time, thanking all of our partners and all of our guests and the BSF and Novartis again. But with that, we promise that we'll be getting you everything that you need to know about diabetes and diabetic retinopathy as we go along in the second edition of Netra Suraksha, India Against Diabetes, in association with Novartis. So thanks a lot for joining us.